right, welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Dollar Bin Digging. This is the video and article that I do for comicbookinvest.com, where I talk about those books that are still probably tucked away in those cheap boxes, those dollar bins, those discount boxes, your half-price books, yard sales, flea markets, wherever you do your cheap comic book hunting. These are some things you might be able to pick up or find based on some of the recent news, announcements, rumors, and what have you. It's kind of a scavenger hunt kind of thing. Like some of these will be undervalued, worth more, that are found in the box, and some of these are just interesting things to pick up and read and just add to your collection. Hopefully you're enjoying this as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comment section. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Check out the memberships and consider hitting that join button. And yeah, it's been a while since I've done one of these shows. I've took some time off to go to Baltimore, but that's all done. I'm back in the saddle again, and I will try to get back to my regularly scheduled programming. Thanks for bearing with me, and if you want to see what books I got for you this week, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, as I noted, it's been a little while. I took last week off from Dollarman Digging and actually most of the other shows that I do, just because, again, I was prepping for Baltimore, then I was at Baltimore, so I had to take off this earlier this week as well. But I'm finally getting ready to start getting that content back out to you guys. So thanks for hanging in there and bearing with me and giving me that little bit of time off. And with that, we do have some stuff. Some of these were planned for last week, but as I said, I didn't have a lot of time to get it done. So some of these might be carryover. Some of this is new stuff, and it's just some interesting random stuff that I thought it's worth looking for. If you go out digging this weekend, check these things for these things in your boxes. Now, our first one is a news item that I read that Laura is going to be getting her very own new arch nemesis in this new X-23 series. So they're bringing back the name. She's going to get a new arch nemesis, and we will see who that is once this series is released. I think in the next couple of months. I'm not sure when it's coming. It might even be in November. It might be very soon. This X-23 Deadly Regenesis. So in this series, we're going to see this new arch enemy. Now, I don't know if we should completely ignore her first arch enemy. So let's remember that book. I talked about it before. There's no reason you can't keep looking for the book because it might still be out there, because there are a lot of these new X-Men books just tucked away in these boxes. So still keep an eye out for this one. New X-Men number 31. Now, why are you looking for this? Well, this is the first appearance of Kimura, an assassin who was actually X-23's like first kind of her saber tooth, her first kind of arch nemesis. So let's not ignore her just because she's getting a new one. And again, this book still does okay. I mean, at a time, this used to be like over $30 for whatever reason. This little raw book used to be a bit more expensive than it is now. But it's still worth digging out if you can find it. Yeah, copies selling for like 10 to 12 bucks recently. May not be setting the world on fire, but even if you look at the asking prices, it's 10, 15, $25 plus are the asks out there. So if you can find this for $1, it's probably still worth grabbing if you can find it. So look for this. Is that Proteus, I think, on the cover? But look for this. Kimura's inside. That's the one you want to look for. And if you like the character, her best cover, I would say, is probably this one. And another book you can probably just keep an eye out for. This is the X-23 Target X series, the mini-series that she had, I believe. And this is issue 5. And you can see Kimura right there on the cover. I think this is a pretty cool cover. And another one you can keep an eye out for. And it's, again, this is not expensive. So don't expect to make a ton of money if you find this one. This is sells for like, what, I think $5. Yeah, last one sold $5 just yesterday. And asking prices in that kind of $4 to $10 kind of range. Again, not an expensive book, but still a pretty cool cover if you can go and grab it. That's our first one for this week. Next up, there's some rumors being circulated out there. I mean, we're going to keep hearing rumors about a lot of projects over the next, well, forever. I mean, that's just the nature of the hobby that we're in. But some of the recent rumors around the Deadpool 3 movie with Wolverine is that Danger could be the villain of this movie. Maybe it's possible, I guess. So maybe it is going to be Danger. You know, the personification, I guess, of the Danger Room in a physical form. That's the Danger we're talking about. And I know there's cameos and all that kind of stuff. We can argue over first appearances and whatnot all day. I'm just saying, one to keep an eye out for. Generally considered the first appearance of Danger is Astonishing X-Men #9. So, yes, go look for this book because you get this, nice reveal here at the end. There we see the physical form of Danger, and then people might say first full is 10, but then there's also cameo mentions of I think issue 5 of the run. I mean, you can find most of the Astonishing X-Men run in the dollar bins as it is, so keep an eye out for all of them if you can find them. But I'm just pointing out #9 for now because we do get that, last page splash kind of reveal of Danger. So Hulk 180 style, that's what we're getting here. Now, this book, kind of bounces all over the place a little bit. Some sales for $1, some sales for $5, some sales for $15. Don't know why. Pricing is inconsistent on this one. But if you find it in a dollar box, that's all I'm telling you to do. Keep an eye out for it if you find it for $1. I'm not telling anybody to pay market prices for any of this stuff. I'm not even saying you even have to buy it if you find it for $1. I'm just saying consider it because some of this stuff is kind of fun. Some of the stuff is kind of cool. And for $1, it's not a big investment. So you don't have to worry about how much you might be making if you are trying to flip it or if you just want to add it to your collection or if you just want to check it out. I mean, that's where you check things out. You want to check out a new series, give it a read for $1. That's how you try things out, or at least how I tried things out, because it's cheap. The cheap buy-in helps you, wipe the slate clean. If it ends up not being for you, who cares? It was $1. But if you want to look for this one online, yeah, $5, $6, $10 for a pair of books. It's still even not expensive if you want to go buy this online, but you can still find this for cheap. So again, don't pay the shipping. Just go dig at your local LCS, support your local LCS, and go see what they got in those boxes because you probably can find stuff like this. And the next one's going to be a little bit trickier because it is pretty recent. It was in the last few months, but some places are quick to put those recent overstock books into those bins at a discount. May not be $1, could be half covered, could be $2, whatever. The discount boxes is generally what we're talking about here. And there's potential that recent overstock, you could find this next book, which is Wolverine #21 from, again, the most recent run of Wolverine, because we get a Deadpool Wolverine crossover. Not only is it a Deadpool Wolverine crossover, it's a Deadpool Wolverine crossover where they face Danger. Basically, as a villain, running them through the motions of testing them with, there's a lot of robot versions of Wolverines attacking them. Deadpool's pretty banged up. And yeah, so maybe this is a baseline idea of how they introduce the character in a movie. Again, I have no idea if this is actually going to happen, but that's the rumor. So if you can find these books for cheap, might as well go grab them, tuck them away, give them a read, and check them out. But here you go. Danger is the bad guy in this recent run of Wolverine. So what does this even sell for? Well, even online. Look, one sold for 99 cents. So even online, this is a $1 book, or it could be a $1 book. But most of the time, you're seeing it $3.95 kind of cover price for this one because I think it's a $3.99 cover, and the asking prices are in that kind of $4 to $5 kind of range still. And then you got to pay shipping, obviously. There's a couple of covers as well. I'm showing you the one, but you can see there in the available copies. There's another cover. And then I think there's a third cover, at least a third. Marvel, they just can't help themselves. There's so many variants needlessly for a lot of these books. But we can complain about that another day. Sticking in the X universe, we're going to go over to our next little pick here, our next option, and Extreme X-Men is coming back. I don't know if you guys read the Claremont run with Salvador LaRocca. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, from back in the day, but it's coming back. It's coming back. Was an interesting team. It was like all based off of like Storm, and they're looking for Destiny's Diaries or something. I can't really remember. It's been a long time since I read this, but that's what we're talking about here. So this series is going to be coming back, and Claremont's going to be picking it up and continuing the story he was telling before. Now, that story, we can go start with Extreme X-Men #1 if you want. This book, I've seen it plenty out there. It's just one of those things. Now people are thinking about it and looking at it because they see a new series coming. So once again, we're going to see the inconsistent pricing. Some people are asking more. Some people just left up those old cheap copies and they're still there. What's sold recently is pretty much, $6, $15 best offers. So they didn't pay those. They paid under 6 and under 15. I didn't feel the need to go digging into the exact numbers. Let's just say it's probably like $5 to $10, right? That's what people are paying. Do you have to pay that? No, you can probably find this for $1. Just go digging. Maybe $2, but go digging in the cheap boxes. You could probably find it. Even online, it's like $6 to $10. There are higher asks. Other than that, there's lots. That's the other thing. You can get lots for cheap if you want to read this whole run. I recommend that. From what I remember, I do remember enjoying this run. They introduced that Mutant Sage, and then we had Bishop, and you had Beast. It was a pretty cool lineup with Rogue and Storm leading the crew. So it's something to consider. Now, this is the first issue of the run, and generally considered, I guess, the first appearance of the Extreme X-Men. But kind of yes, but no, in a sense that this team spun out of this issue of X-Men. So in this 100-page monster, so huge, thick edition of X-Men, issue number 109, we get the beginnings of this team with Storm basically telling, recruiting these guys, saying, who's coming with me? We should probably go check out the, suppose we seek these out. Again, they're looking at for Destiny's notes or Destiny's diaries, journals or something like that. But you can see here the team basically forming in this issue of X-Men 109. And it's, again, 100-page monster. So it's a real thick book. But you see, and the whole everybody who's going to be joining the crew is here. And then she also speaks to Professor X. He wishes her luck, and they go off and they start this side team of X-Men. So you could say this is the first appearance of the team, and we're at least the beginnings. And I think it's just worth looking at. And this is not an expensive book either, despite it being a huge, thick comic. $450, $299 are recent sales, and that was, when I say recent, in the beginning of October for both of those. That's all I really can find. I mean, this is kind of that weird run of X-Men where not a lot was happening. So there aren't a lot of books that are that expensive. So you could probably find this just buried in those bins, because X-Men has, well, since the 90s at least, has been one of the highest, printed books out there. So yeah, there's probably plenty out there. So keep an eye out for them. A lot of collections, a lot of runs come to shops, and then they throw them in the boxes because a lot of the stuff, there isn't a lot of demand for it. That said, copies, asking prices, the introduction of Tessa as Sage, again, the character I mentioned before. So you also get a first appearance in this book, I guess, as well. $5, $6, $10. Not too pricey, but just kind of a fun one to keep an eye out for, I think. So keep looking for it. Now, going to keep sticking with Marvel. I know I got a lot of Marvel in here. I'm going to kind of switch it up as we get near the end. But our next bit is another book that I've talked about before, and I think I mentioned the second print was worth looking for. But it's just because of recent events in comics is why it comes back around. So even if some might be redundant, I just want to remind you guys, not everybody's seen all of these. I mean, I've done 200. This is 215. I've done 215 articles on this topic, and most of those in videos, like 150. At least 3/4 of them are videos now. So I don't expect everybody's watched all these. So maybe you didn't see the one where I talked about Zerus, Dracula's son. So Dracula's son has been brought back into the comics once again. I know it's kind of Halloween time, but I think it's interesting with Werewolf by Night being a hit. I think on Disney Plus, we're getting Blade eventually. They might be growing out this corner of, and Man Thing was also popular. It looks like they might be growing the cinematic horror universe, but even the comics are starting to expand too, as we're getting Blade's daughter soon. And I can still see some more room for some of these characters to get a bigger profile as we go forward. And when they do, that generally leads more people to start looking for their first appearances. So get in now, get in early if you can find it for cheap. Now, the book for the first appearance of I guess before we get to the first appearance. So why are we talking about Zerus? We're talking about Zerus because he returned in the current Exterminators run. X-Men titled. I know they have a ton of X-Men titles, and this is not a great cover. We talked about this a little bit on TAC last night, the TAC show. So if you saw the news when we were doing this, you saw I mentioned that Zerus came back. But in Exterminators number 2, we do see the return again of Dracula's son. So yeah, who knows how long he'll be sticking around for. But with all the ties to Jubilee, she was once a vampire and all that crazy stuff. Yeah, maybe he lingers for a little bit. Maybe we see him pop up in other series, like I said, in this horror universe that could be expanding a little bit. Midnight Suns is an option. But who knows? That all said, the first appearance can be found in The Death of Dracula. This one shot from back in the heroic age. I think the early mid 2000s, like 2010, maybe. I think this might have come out. So there is a second print, which is basically has the heroic age is taken off. It's almost looks near like a Virgin cover, but that would be the second print, which is also pretty pricey. But a good find if you can find it. But keep an eye out for the first print as well. This thing, again, I've mentioned it before, and it does all right. $13.50, one sold at auction at the end of October, and then like a week or so before, best offer on $40. So who knows what they got for it, but somewhere under $40. Asking prices on this could be as cheap as $7. Granted, I looked at that $7 copy. it's the cover's torn, so it really is not a real option. I mean, you might find sometimes you do get damaged books, especially when you're buying them for $1 in the dollar bins, but that's a whole nother conversation that we can have. But point being, I just wanted to put that $7 option out there, but it is a damaged copy. Regular copies are more in that 25 to 50 asks. So if you can find this for cheap in a box, you've probably done all right, because you can see what all the other asking prices are at this point, and even what some of the sales have been. So keep an eye out for this first appearance of Zerus in that Death of Dracula one shot. So that's what I got there. We'll give DC a little bit of love because, yes, at Baltimore, we had Jim Lee there, and we know that they are doing another Spawn Batman. And I think Jim Lee's done a cover. And this series, the original series, I believe also involved Frank Miller, I think, too. But that all said, we are getting another DC crossover with Batman and Spawn. So why not look at the original one, right? Now, I know everybody knows this one. Everybody knows the Image version. Yes, it's Frank Miller, Todd McFarlane, two of them jumping out. Yes, everybody knows. Prestige format, thicker book, unforgiving. You can't press this thing if it gets damaged because, again, it's prestige format, so it's pretty thick and cardstocky type cover. That's it. Everybody knows this one, and I mean, they made a lot, but you can still find it out there. I found this for $1 plenty of times before, and yes, some people are asking some prices that are kind of high at $47, but there are other asks where it's like $10. There's auctions that start at $2 with no bids and still 3 days left, so it's still relatively inexpensive. Oh, I'm sorry, I put that on the wrong side. Those are the available copies. So I guess I flip-flopped them. So the sold ones are on the other side. Unfortunately, the sold ones are in, again, $16, $3 at auction, $7.50 with one bid. Not that price. Again, keep an eye out for it. Maybe you find it for $1. It's still kind of a cool memento from 1994, but maybe you find it. There's probably a better chance that you're going to find the other version. This was Image's version of this crossover because they're doing a crossover, so everybody gets a shot. This was the Image version where they got to use Batman. On the flip side, DC came up with their own War Devil, which was basically Batman featuring Spawn. So they got to play with Spawn on their side of things. So this one is probably you're going to find more often than not because I think the Image one was more popular, given the creative team and it being Todd and Image, and it was the flashier book of the two. But you might still find War Devil out there too. And if you find it, maybe give it a grab, give it a read. You can see here, $10 to $15, kind of 13. It's kind of still in that same similar kind of range as far as what's sold and the asks. Again, some people asking $35, but most of them are kind of in that $10 range. And you can still see there's that auction 99 cents with no bids yet with 3 days left. So there are cheap copies if you want to go and look for them, even online. But I'm telling you, check in the boxes. Again, another prestige format book, thicker. So it might not be in a dollar bin. It might be a couple of bucks, might be $2, but it's still worth your time and effort if you can find one. Just check it out. Give it a quick little read. All right. What else do we got from DC? DC, this is going to be a weird one. This is going to be a weird, well, not a weird one in the sense of, I think it's a character we talked about before. I think it did her in Forgotten First maybe a while back, or at least maybe I was planning on it. That said, a weird way we're getting there. So, Teen Titans' most underrated hero finally gets a shot at the spotlight. Seems a bit misleading when you read that headline because the spotlight they're talking about is a more prominent role in the Webtoons comic. If you can call it a comic, it's the online. I think you can read it on your phone. But the Vixen NYC, this little series, this Webtoons thing that they have out there, we saw a tease in, I guess, the most recent, episode, issue. I don't know what you call a webcomic. I mean, I guess issue. But saw a tease for what looks like, Bumblebee. So Bumblebee may be coming. And the character is also in place in this series. So it's not like she might be getting a bigger role. And we're seeing her becoming Bumblebee. That said, first appearance goes back to the 70s. And you would think that this would be a pricey book, but it really isn't, because I don't think a lot of people care. Even though she showed up on like DC Superhero Girls, I believe, and that kind of stuff. Like she's popped up over the last couple of decades here and there, but never really got like a huge push from DC. Not saying that she will, but it's still just a fun first if you can go find one for cheap to go look for. Because I know you flip through those boxes, you see a lot of old DC, and you're like, oh my god, more Jimmy Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen's, and you don't care. You flip through. I know some of you guys like it. Not, that you like what you like. I'm just saying I see it so often, and I'm personally not that interested, so I quickly flip by it. But I also see a lot of Teen Titans books, especially the older ones here too. And this, again, Teen Titans number 45 features the first appearance of the character, Karen Beecher, I think her name is. Yeah, Karen Beecher. So she's not Bumblebee yet, but the character who becomes Bumblebee is here in this issue. This again doesn't sell for all that much. Look, a copy sold for $2.20. Yes, shipping from Canada is more expensive, but still, the person who bought it was in Canada. It doesn't matter, but still, $2 is what one sold for recently, and the asking prices they're kind of a little bit all over too. $6 to $15, $18, depends on condition, basically, but it's still her first Karen Beecher, but not as Bumblebee. If you want her as Bumblebee, it's this other issue 48, so a couple issues later. And this one is kind of known or sells more because it's Joker's daughter becomes, I think, Harley Quinn in the set. They're not the same one, but Joker's daughter is the reason why this one kind of sells for a little bit more. But not still not a lot. But this is her first appearance when she premieres as the Bumblebee. So here we go. We see Karen Beecher as the Bumblebee in 48. So you also want to keep an eye out for this one if you're digging through Teen Titans. Now, as I said, you'll see the listings here, $17 to $25. It sells for a little bit more, and you see most of them. Yes, some of them mention first Bumblebee, but a lot of it is still predicated on Joker's daughter becoming Harley Quinn because that's kind of a thing that, odd DC history. And with that, what's available? Well, there's copies. There's one at auction. It's only at $4 right now. There's $10 copies. Look, there's even a $2 copy. Granted, it's not the nicest copy in the world, but again, beggars can't be choosers. And if you're finding cheap books, sometimes you got to take what's there, or you decide to leave it for somebody else. But it still can be found for cheap online if you're willing to take a little bit of damage. Good luck to what copies you find in those cheap boxes, because most of the time you're going to find some of this stuff not even bagged and boarded. It's just old brown DC page books just kind of packed in there. You're just hoping it wasn't water damaged and they didn't get all musty and wet. But it is what it is. Now, where are we going to go to from here? From here, we're going to shift our focus to something that, this was a DC book, but it's really a TV property. So, Star Trek. So the trader, Ro Laren, again, I'm not a big Star Trek guy. Saw this article over on CBR, and I thought it was kind of interesting. I was like, all right, let's take a look into it. So the Star Trek trader has a new role in the franchise's God War. So if you don't know, there's still new comics coming out from IDW, I believe, that are this book is coming. Star Trek Defiant is going to be released in March 2023. So they're kind of previewing it now. It's Next Generation crew. I know there's a lot of Next Generation fans out there continuing those stories. So could be interesting, right? But there were comics based off of the shows that ran, for a good long while. What do they have, like 9 seasons, something like that? But the character that apparently is going to have a more prominent role in this new series first showed up way back in Star Trek: The Next Generation, number 28. What I said here? Her name was like Ro, something like that. But here it's here, Ensign Ro. This is her in just kind of in the background. It's not a huge. She's in a couple other panels too, but there's not like a lot to this appearance. But it's still her first appearance in comics. So keep an eye out. I'm pretty sure it's her first appearance in comics. For all things I could find, this looks like the first appearance in this issue 28. So again, it doesn't matter. Most people probably don't care. Star Trek fans probably do. And this is her. So if you want to find it, go find it. Or if you just flip through a box, you see it, why not for $1, right? That's kind of the idea. Some of this stuff is just kind of for fun. And you can see here, even online, back in September was the last time I could find one sold. It was $1.75. So there's a lot of lots and runs that you can find, all basically priced less than $1 a copy, pretty cheap if you want to go that route. But here we go, $3 to $6 are some of the current asks. I'm not saying you're going to make any money on this book. This is, again, just one of those kind of fun things that you might be able to go and find out there. So go have some fun. Comics should be fun after all. And our last one is going back to one of my favorites. I'm kind of curious. I haven't watched the show in a while, but I do like Doctor Who. I do like Doctor Who. I got my Sonics here on the table next to me. I don't know if you guys have noticed. Marco makes fun of me. Sticks is the only other person I know who pays attention to Doctor Who. And here, one of their best villains. One of the best villains. And one of the episodes a lot of people think is one of the best episodes of Doctor Who, at least of the newer run, is the episode Blink with the Weeping Angels. And the Doctor's barely in that episode, but it is a very good example. Like if you want to check, people want to try it out. You want to give Doctor Who a try. Try out this episode Blink. Uh, but the Weeping Angels, one of the best villains that they had in there. Basically, the idea is that the statues they come alive when you don't look at them. So if you close your eyes, you turn your back, they move, but they can't move if you're looking at them. So if you stare at them and you don't blink, they can't move. But the second you close your eyes or blink or turn your back on them, they're free to move about. And it's one of those weird, childhood fears that just kind of get you like deep down that you just, what do you do? So pretty cool. Like him as the Doctor Who villains and an idea as as alone, but they did have a comic book appearance. Yes, they first showed up in a show, so you're not going to own like the first show. But I also mentioned this because I bought this book at Baltimore. This is the 1 in 10 variant, so I thought it was really cool to get the first appearance in comics from for a 1 in 10. And again, I'm pretty sure it's the first appearance in comics. Not 100% because I know there could be some foreign books and those magazines. So from all intents and purposes, this Titan run that I could find, I think this is it. First time I saw the Weeping Angels in the comics was in this issue 6. This is the 1 in 10. Not telling you to find this because it might be tough for you to find. I found it for $5 in a $5 variant box. But yeah, good luck finding that too if you want. But the regular issue is pretty cool too. I mean, there's the cover classic Tenant cover. It's pretty cool. You got the angel, right behind him, and then we do have the subscription cover. I think the B cover with the photo of the Weeping Angels. There. Really cool episode again. Check it out. Either of these you can find them. It doesn't sell for a whole heck of a lot, but it's not easy to find because there's when you find Doctor Who books, you seem to find a run of them. There's like a whole bunch of them in the cheap boxes, but you don't see them all that often. It's just kind of one of those weird things. Like sometimes you stumble into them, sometimes you don't. But there have been none sold of this particular issue, this issue 6. I think it was like a 4-issue run, like 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe, that told this story with the Weeping Angels. But issue 6 was I guess the first. And yeah, none sold. Well, that's technically not true because I did find this copy available for $5, and it actually is. Even though they only show the B cover, it says it's A and B. So A and B, $5. I said, you know what? I'm buying that. So I bought this today while I was getting this materials ready. I told you sometimes I do that. So that was the only copy I could find that was out there, and I bought them. So go ahead. Good luck. Go look for them. Like I said, I just kind of wanted them for $2.50 each. It didn't seem too bad. I mean, yes, I got to pay shipping, but I feel like I got a deal on the 1 in 10. So I took that put it towards getting the A and B as well because I don't have these. I didn't collect a lot of Doctor Who comics, but like I said, I bought this one. So now it's technically on the sold side, but you get it, right? Now, that all said, if you guys are one of those, if you guys like cover firsts, then there is a potential for something that did predate issue 6, and that was issue 1 of the series. And issue 1 had a bunch of store variants where they had different villains, Doctor Who classic villains, in this comic store. And then it was based on the store, so there's a lot of different options. But good luck finding a lot of these because again, who knows where you're gonna find these. Some of these are stores I've never heard of. I just not in my area, so I don't know them. But this one, issue 1, this I think Enjoy was the Enjoy Games and Comics. I don't even know where they're located. They did have the Weeping Angel on their cover. So if you like cover appearances as a first, there you go. We got the Weeping Angels here on the cover. And here's just another example, different stores that you can see. There's a Cyberman. Then they have different ones with different villains, the TikTok guys, all kinds of different stuff. Different shops had different options. I think call them custom variants. I don't know how they make this determined how to get these things, but multiple covers, multiple villains, slight variations to the background color as well. But there was a Weeping Angel one. So, again, I did not find any copies sold. I did not find any copies available either, but I did put these two out there because there was, I think, the Silence and there was a Cyberman version. So some of the other ones, and that one's from Third Eye, if you notice, that has the Cybermen on the cover, but they're like $20. So if you do find them, whatever ones you find, it could be like $20 comics. So just keep an eye out for any of these Doctor Who number ones with the comic store variant and the store logo right on the front, because hey, could be worth it. Could be worth it. If not, it's just for fun. And with that, I know it was kind of a long one this week, but it's because I had a lot extra to do because I took last week off. So hopefully you guys didn't mind. I'm trying to get used to doing this once again. Got to get back in my rhythm. It's amazing how a week off can really change things up. But that's all I got for you this week. Thanks for stopping by and checking in. I appreciate you all. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And with that, I will see you guys soon with some more content, including the Mail Call Madness boys are taking the week off. They just couldn't get their schedules to work. So I might be doing my own little pickup show to kind of fill their spot for this week. But make sure you check them out every Friday. Other than that, and Saturday night special, check out SNS. The boys will be back on Saturday here on Rennavision. And we'll be back with Tales from the Dark Side on Sunday. And then hopefully, if I can get everything done, I will be back on Monday with Hidden Gems and Chasing Ghosts, and the regularly scheduled programming will be back in place. So again, thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for giving me that time out. And again, I'll see you guys later. All right.